Good evening. By your hushed tones, I can tell that we are about to begin. I'm Jason Scorza, Associate Provost for Global Learning here at Fairleigh Dickinson University. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the start of our 2009 UN Pathways Lecture Series. Tonight we will be enjoying a conversation between the permanent representative of Saudi Arabia, Ambassador Khalid Abdalrazaq Al-Nafisee, and our old friend and constant supporter, Ambassador Ahmad Kamal. The topic of their conversation will be Saudi Arabia, its region, and the world. And if I may pause for a brief editorial comment, I thought the world was Saudi Arabia's region. But we'll get to that, I'm sure. The people who pay my salary have asked me to make a few announcements before we begin, just to explain the ground rules of our evening. The ambassadors will have a conversation of approximately 1 hour, after which we will have opportunity for questions and discussions from the floor. Students will move through the aisles with microphones. I ask that you use the microphone, even if it does not appear to be amplifying your voice, so that your voice will be picked up on our recording system. This is cause for me to remind you that our lectures and discussions are videotaped. So if you have a cell phone or pager or other device, I would ask you to silence them at this time. Additional announcements for members of the FDU community who are interested in attending a briefing at the United Nations on environmental issues. We will be sending a bus on April 16th, and you may contact the Office of Global Learning for more details. Our phone number is 201-692-7060. Additionally, for students who are attending the lecture for a class, there'll be a sign-up sheet for you to sign on your way out this evening. And lastly, there will also be evaluation sheets outside for everyone in attendance. I do ask that you fill it out. We take your comments and suggestions very seriously. And now, without further ado, ambassadors.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Nafisee, you come to us from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country for which there is great interest here, because I would imagine 60% of our cars run on Saudi oil. But that 60% is not a happy figure, because 60% of the hijackers for 9/11 also came from Saudi Arabia. And so we have affection for you, but also some doubts about you. And so tell us, to begin with, where is Saudi Arabia? How big is it? How important is it? What is the size of the population of Saudi Arabia? How come you play such an important role in the world? What are the basics of Saudi Arabia as seen by a Saudi national?
Thank you, Dr. Kamal. I don't see the relationship between what you started with and the question. I will tell you gladly how big is Saudi Arabia and what it's the size of it and what makes it so important. You mentioned the 9/11 event, and that was really a shocker to all of us. Any human being would be shocked in that event. It was played by a group of people who used religion and programmed young people from the country to put a divide between the United States of America and in particular Saudi Arabia, because it's one of the most important Muslim countries and is an important Arab country too. To put a divide between the historical relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States of America was a well-planned event, and fortunately it did not work because of the understanding of the American government and the American people. Even though we had a lot of worry in the beginning, it was a bumpy road for us all. I was in the kingdom when this happened, and it was a shocker to all. And it's not, the word is beyond shock. But this is both countries and the rest of the world understood that Saudi Arabia is not those 15 young recruits that have slammed into the most important area in the world, which is the financial district in America. Going back to the question of the importance of Saudi Arabia, actually, it's bothersome that we in Saudi Arabia depend on the income of the oil. Almost 90% of our economy is dependent on oil. This bothers us too, as much as it bothers the users of that, because we want to have it, as you all know, that oil is finite. Petroleum products, fossil products are finite, and it's going to have an end to it. And therefore, we already started partnering with the new technologies and see with the manufacturers of automobiles and energy users to find a replacement. And we're financing some of the research to find a replacement for the oil. Now, if I remember the questions, the size of Saudi Arabia, it's approximately 2 million square kilometer. This is the size of one, if you look at the east of the Mississippi and the size of that, of the United States, east of the Mississippi part of the United States, that's the size of Saudi Arabia, or put it more in perspective, is more than 1/5 of the United States size. We have 25 million, approximately 25 million people living in the country, of which 7 million are expatriates from all over the world. I didn't write down the rest of the questions.
No, that's fine. But for a country which is that rich and which has a population which is that small, what is the culture? What is the way of life of Saudi Arabia? What do you do? How do you absorb that money? Because I remember we used to hear about the noblemen of Jeddah, the Ashraf. Saudi Arabia used to be known for its poetry, for its elegance, etc., before oil. But oil is a corrupting influence because it brings a lot of money into your pocket, and money is temptation. How do you live in Saudi Arabia with so much money? Your pockets are heavier than the rest of your clothes.
With the corruption around the world, and the biggest corrupted people are appearing in this time of crisis, economic crisis, it's a relevant question. In Saudi Arabia, the country, like I said, it's really a large, geographically, we cover a lot of area. It's the largest country in the Arabian Peninsula. And and because of the population is not as big as the country, we have to, our biggest spending happens on infrastructures. And that is the telecommunication, roads. If you have a large country, you spend more money to cover it and for everybody to feel like they are in the same society. And this is what